Hello, let's get started today in downward facing dog. A few breaths here to land. You can pedal out through the feet, maybe shake the head, yes and no. Soft, generous bend in the knees as you lengthen the hips up and back. Maybe take some pulses, chest to thigh, to begin to open up through the chest, the shoulders. About 3 or 4 more breaths here. If you want to add some spinal movements, some spinal rolls as you shift the weight forward and back, more than welcome. About 1 or 2 more breaths here to even out. And take your time. Eventually, we'll meet in our downward facing dog if you're not already there. We'll take a double chaturanga. So on your inhale, shift your weight forward, shoulders stack up over wrist. Option to lower the knees if you'd like. Hug the elbows in tight as you exhale, come down to low plank. Point the elbows back. Press back up into a high plank. One more time, exhale, come down to low plank. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Full breath in. Full breath out. This time we'll shift our weight forward, high plank. We'll lower all the way down to the belly in 5 counts. Again, see if you can hug the elbows in tight as you lower down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower all the way down to the belly. Bring your forearms out in front, Sphinx pose. Elbows underneath the shoulders. Press the forearms down as you spread your fingers out wide. Gaze can stay forward, or maybe take some movement again in the neck as you lower the chin in towards the chest, rock ear from shoulder to shoulder. You can choose to stay here, or we'll make our way to locust pose. Lower all the way down to the belly. Hands by your sides, fingers pointing towards the back edge of the mat. You also have the option to interlace fingers behind your back. Chin or forehead down towards the mat. And begin to activate through the legs as you press the tops of the feet down into the mat. Lift your knees, engage the legs. On your next inhale, lift your chest, lift your legs. And then lengthen the fingers, the toes back behind you. Gazes forward and down, long in the back of the neck. Breathing here. One more full breath in. Can you engage the spinal muscles as you lift a little higher? Exhale, lower all the way back down to the belly. Release the hands, one ear to the mat. You can bend your knees, windshield wiper the legs side to side if you'd like to release through the low back. We'll take a second set. Option again for locust pose, or you can stay in Sphinx pose, or option for bow pose. Hands will reach back towards the ankles. Finding your grip. If you're in that bow pose, we'll kick into the grip. Inhale, lifting up high into the hips. Again, gazes forward and down. Breathing here. You can play with pointing and flexing the toes. Stay strong through the legs. One more inhale, fill up through the lungs. Lift a little higher. As you exhale, lower all the way down. Opposite ear to the mat. You can windshield wiper the legs side to side once again. Release through the low back. When you feel ready, hands underneath the shoulders. You can keep your knees down or maybe tuck your toes. Then we're going to lift up into a high plank. So use your core, not your back. Press down to lift up high plank. On your exhale, downward facing dog. 2 breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale. And exhale. This time we'll make our way to forearm plank or dolphin pose. Lower the forearms down onto the mat. You can lower the knees, keep the toes tucked for the forearm plank, or begin to walk the toes towards the elbows, soft bend in the knees as you lengthen the hips up and back. 5 breaths. Wherever you are, keep pressing the floor away. See if you can bring the shoulders away from ears, maybe puff up the space between the shoulder blades if you're in that forearm plank. If you're in that dolphin pose, think about melting your chest towards your thighs as you maybe tiptoe the feet in a little bit closer. One more full breath in. And stay for the exhale. Slowly begin to unwind. We'll lower all the way down to the belly. You can bring your forearms out in front, maybe windshield wiper the legs side to side, release through the low back. And stay here longer if you need. Eventually, we'll make our way to a scorpion stretch. We'll start by bringing that right ear to the mat, bringing the gaze over towards the left. Then arms will reach out into a T, so elbows in line with the shoulders. Bring the left fingertips in front of the nose. Bend your left leg. As you press into the left fingertips, begin to draw that left foot behind you, stacking that left hip over the right. Getting a little opening here through that right shoulder, chest. Left toes can either plant in front or behind the right calf. To go a little deeper, you can readjust, bring your right arm to about 90 degrees, making sure elbows in line with the shoulder. About 3 or 4 more breaths here. And take your time, begin to unravel back onto the belly, any little movements here that you need to release. And when you feel ready, we'll take that to the other side. So arms will reach out to a T. Left ear to mat, bring the gaze over towards the right. Plant the right fingertips down in front of the nose as you begin to roll over, stacking that right hip over left. Bend your right leg. You can plant the foot behind or in front of the left calf. Left elbow in line with the shoulder. You also have that option to adjust, bringing that left arm to about 90 degrees. A few breaths here. When you feel about even, we'll come back through center. You can windshield wiper the legs, roll back onto the belly. Eventually, we'll make our way to half frog on the left. Staying on the belly, bend your left leg to bring your left knee in line with the hip. About 90-degree bend in the left leg. Keep the heel in, toes pointing out away from you. You can bring forehead or one ear to the mat. A few breaths here. Transitioning into a twist, we'll thread the needle, right ear to the mat if you're not already there. Plant the left fingertips in front of the nose as you press down, lift your chest, thread your right arm underneath the left shoulder. Left arm will begin to open up like a book. Keep twisting until the left shoulder blade hits the mat. Realign the legs, the hips if you need to for your twist. About 2 or 3 breaths on this side. When you feel ready, we'll come back through center. We'll come back onto the belly, movements if you'd like in between. And taking your time, we'll make our way half frog on the right, bending your right leg, knee in line with the hip. About 90-degree bend in the right leg, heel in, toes pointing away from you. 2 to 3 breaths. Preparing for our twist. Bring the left ear to the mat. Right fingertips press down as you throw that left arm underneath the right shoulder. Right arm begins to open up like a book. Keep twisting till the right shoulder blade hits the mat. 2 to 3 breaths on this side. And on your own time, we'll make our way onto our backs in Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees out wide. Hands can land somewhere on the body, or maybe you extend the arms up overhead, reaching for opposite elbow for some more shoulder opening. We'll end our class here with a final breath. Feel free to stay longer if you need. As you feel ready, we'll fill up through the belly, the ribs, the chest, throat. Open mouth, exhale. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my practice with you today, and I hope to be with you next time you're on your mat.